Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to Campus Consortium Foundation's webinar titled Supporting the Student Journey Through AI. If you have any questions now or during today's presentation, please type them into the chat box or questions pane in the Zoom control panel. Now, I would like to pass the platform to Dr. Carl Horvath, our President and CEO of Campus Consortium Foundation.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you everyone who's attended our webinar today. I want to call out several of the institutions that have registered and attended this webinar before we begin. We have institutions from across the United States and international attending today. Many institutions from West US to the East, North and South. Many private and public institutions are attending. And I'm going to just call out a few of them to give you a shout out. We have Midwestern Career College, Goodwin University, Florida Atlantic University, Community College of Aurora, Colorado Christian University, University of Southern California, College of Coastal Georgia, University of Texas at Arlington, California State University, SUNY Westchester, University of Illinois, Bryant University, Kent State, Gannon University, Central Arizona College, and many more. We even have institutions attending from South Africa and India. So welcome to all. We are grateful for your attendance. And today we are going to share knowledge and information. That's the purpose of these webinars, to connect institutions with projects, experience, and thought leadership so we can share our solutions and service our students and advance our institutions. Our representation of attendees today range from information technology leaders and functional experts to academic leaders to student service leaders. We have deans, we have directors of programs, we have vice presidents, and we have many functional people who are working in offices to service students attending as well. So thank you all for being here today. We are going to tell you just a little bit about Campus Consortium Foundation next. Campus Consortium Foundation, as I said, brings institutions together to share knowledge and to support them in terms of affordability and access and lessons learned. And we have an offer today because of our partner, Black Belt Help, has offered a in-kind grant of a chatbot. If you engage in their services, we have documentation for this and can give you many more details about this. If you're an attendee, you are eligible for it. All you have to do is reach out to Jennifer, who opened this up at the top of the presentation, the webinar. We will have some poll questions, and once these poll questions are collected, we're going to send them out to everybody. If the audience would just take a moment to answer these polls, we'll present the information now, and we will send it to you after the webinar as well. The first poll question is, your institution's online experience customized for each student? Yes, not really, or no? And if you just take 30 seconds to answer that question, we'll present the results, and we will move on to our next slide. Our presenters and panelists today who will be sharing their experiences and solutions with you are Ben Roelofs and Micheal Lyons. Ben is from University of Nevada, Reno, the Director of User Services. Micheal is the Assistant Vice President and Chief Information Officer at Massachusetts Bay Community College. And we have Christopher Youth from Black Belt Help as a Chief Product Officer, and is very knowledgeable about the trends in chatbots and artificial intelligence today. We encourage everyone in the audience to submit questions through the chat or the Q&A feature in Zoom for any of our panelists or experts. They will answer your questions as you submit them. If we don't have the answer, we will follow up and get you the answer post the webinar. Here's the results of the first poll. Is your institution's online experience customized? 20% say yes, but 40% say no, and then some 40% are not really. So you may have some customizations, but it helps to customize that student experience for retention and persistence for sure. But it looks like everybody is working on it. I just want to run through a few key items about what we're talking about today and what colleges and universities are beginning to adapt into their environments beyond the basics. Today, we're talking about chatbots and artificial intelligence and the two integrations of them. These are two technologies. They, when combined, can be very powerful engagement tools for all kinds of institutional users, but specifically for students. And the theory of technology and social engagement is a long one. There's a lot of documentation about its efficacy and multiple technology platforms. Today, artificial intelligence and chatbots have developed significantly over the past few years beyond what they were when they first came out. These are different types of AI that are developed in research, and some are being used every day in a lot of the technology that we use, integrated into the Internet of Things. There's more or less artificial intelligence that's incorporated into different technologies. And this is a range of everything from narrow AI, which does complete specific actions, all the way to self-aware AI that is like human being responses and retention of information. I think that most of us need something that gets the job done as far as getting information and accurate information out there. And here's a diagram of a couple different types of classic chatbot and conversational AI chatbots. So in the educational institution, helps in many areas, and these are just a few, certainly in recruitment, enrollment, admissions office, connecting with prospective students, engaging them, and turning them into students that are registered for classes. Also, besides the recruitment aspect of these technologies, there is the retention and persistence aspect where they can monitor student behaviors and support intervening and keeping a student in the institution. And also a wide range of uses in academics across all types of teaching and learning. And that's just kind of set the stage, and our panelists will, elaborate on what they're doing in their institutions. Wanted to hit you with another poll questions quickly. Is student service support and information available 24/7 in your institution? Yes, most, a few, no. And what that means is your student support limited to 9 to 5 or 8 to 6? And can students access information, service, and support after hours or on weekends? Take 30 seconds to please answer that poll, and I will begin to introduce our first panelist. Ben is a seasoned IT professional, and he's has many years of experience working particularly from the student perspective and applying technology. Many times technology is viewed as operational, functional, or a utility, but Ben has worked to connect the technology with the student and student experience, empowering the staff and the faculty that support the students and bringing the best of what an institution has to offer to their student body. Of course, Ben has refined his ability to interpret tech speak to everyone involved, and that is valuable in itself. Having people understand the value of technology and actually use it. Ben, I'm going to hand it off to you, but before I do, here's the results of our last poll. Is student service support and information available 24/7? 44% say yes. That's great. Most of their services support 11%. A few services are available 33%. And no, not really 11%. Well, everybody's at different stages. And as we progress in learning about these new technologies and getting access to them, we can change those percentages. Ben, I'm going to hand it off to you. Please take it away.
Thanks, Carl. No, we're in the same spot that most of you are. We do not have this thing licked and solved and wrapped up with a bow. So we're in the same situation that you are. To the point Carl was making earlier about being able to speak to the non-tech community, I sometimes laugh with my own internal team and joke at our leadership meetings that to campus, I represent OIT, and in OIT meetings, I represent campus, and I have to be able to interchange those hats very regularly for the job that I do. Like Carl said, my name is Ben Roelofs. I've been with the university now for 24 years. I started as a technician doing bioinformatics down in our Department of Animal Biotechnology, and have evolved over into campus IT, and now I run support services. So from our walk-up desk to our phone staff to our chat service to the tier 2 team that goes out and does the hand-holding, that kind of all falls under my realm. And to that point, just quickly about the university, let me pull up my notes here because I always like to say a little something about the alma mater on that side of it. University of Nevada, Reno was founded in 1874. We're actually celebrating our sesquicentennial this fall. We are an R1 Carnegie institution. We recently extended our campus to include the Lake Tahoe campus, which was included on that previous slide. University is really big known for our medical school and for our School of Journalism, which we have produced 6 Pulitzer Prizes coming out of there. So that's kind of a little bit about me and about the institution. So a decade ago, the world didn't look anything like this, and the transformation has been unstoppable. How we communicate, work, learn, shop, entertain ourselves. It has all undergone such a profound shift. And strangely enough, education, which generally tends to be one of the slowest adopters to any change whatsoever, even the higher education sector is making changes in this area. The impact of this revolution is simply staggering. World Economic Forum investments have already reached nearly 19 billion before the pandemic, and by 2025, estimates are saying that it could soar as high as 350 billion. So it's not far-fetched to say that supported education is prime role in delivering education in the years to come. So why does the educational sector need conversational AI? You're facing the same issues that I am. The higher education sector has declining admission numbers, budget constraints, need to provide a comprehensive digital experience, retention of students, retention of staff. All of these are a big struggle. And amidst all of this, the digital natives all want a seamless experience that aligns with their preferences. They want simple understanding, natural language, being able to be on all platforms at all times, BYOD, and 24/7. And those are remarkably challenging endeavors for most institutions. On our side of things, we have classically been I like to refer to it as a 90s style phone shop. Our support center was very much human-centered, with humans answering singular phone calls and walking them through a one-size-fits-all approach. And with the increase to enrollment, with the increase to services that we are expected to provide and to support, I can't simply continue to hire more students. I don't have more space in the phone room. I don't have the budget to do it, even if we wanted to do it. So we have had to start to look at technologies from that standpoint. And starting in the call center was one of our major ones. Again, we had human voicemail, and the ability to put in a call center as a service using real natural language processing and conversational AI with omni-channel is an amazing change that we have slowly started to evolve through. We had a ticketing system. That ticketing system didn't talk to our chat system. Our chat system didn't talk to our CCAS. Our CCAS didn't talk to our assetting system. With the ability to start leveraging these chat bots and these abilities to integrate these pieces, that's where we're seeing a lot of strength in this. So I'm going to talk about a couple of just top level areas. I don't have a script that I'm going off of, so if I get repetitive, just someone, ping me in the chat and say, yeah, you said that 3 times by now. So I'm going to start with the transforming of traditional education. And as we've spoken about, the biggest thing that I can relate to with conversational AI and this student journey is the ability to enhance personalization and adaptability. Plain and simple. Traditional education is generally one size fits all, and that limits potential. Plain and simple. Virtual assistants can analyze individual strengths, weaknesses, and learning styles to enable personalized content delivery and adaptive learning paths. Chatbots can track progress and provide targeted suggestions for further learning, and it enhances engagement and motivation, which leads to improved academic performance and improved retention. It's not rocket science, but it is a very different world to shift your brain from the old modality to this new world that we're living in, per se. It also expands access to education. It bridges the gap in access to quality education, extending the reach beyond traditional geographic boundaries and constraints, and can hit underserved areas, can hit some of those areas that you don't have someone sitting on your physical campus within the physical confines of that area. All of this speaks to enhancing student engagement. And that to us is one of the big things that we are looking for on this one. I specifically work with OIT, but I liaise with so many groups on campus. I am directly in touch with A&R. I am directly in touch with enrollment services and Workday and HR and all those groups to, again, try to build these things that A&R had a chatbot that was an enrollment-centric chatbot that did very well for their little silo of things. There's no need for that to be a siloed chatbot. This can grow and extend, and as we raise it up in our structure, the ability for those bots to spider our content and to create ties meaningfully between disparate areas of the campus is hugely amazing. It's our own chatbot that we have. We had a chatbot that we have refined. We currently use the chatbot through Black Belt Help that we use with our support on that mechanism. It currently lives only on the OIT stack of our website. And we get asked regularly what it would take to elevate that and lift it from oit.unr.edu to unr.edu. And that is a remarkably fun conversation with Copilot being released. We're a Microsoft campus. I'm guessing many of you are probably also Microsoft campuses. With Copilot coming out, licensed as it is, we've been exploring on that. And our AI task force is looking at many of these same things. A really cool project that we're working on, myself with our exchange team, we're looking at the ability to build bots inside teams that are class and student specific. so that students registered in Class X can simply talk to teams and interact with a bot that is knowledgeable in that subject area, that is knowledgeable to their coursework and materials, and can handle that burden, that you don't need to have a phone call to a single human being who is staffing office hours and maybe on vacation or unavailable, or calling the help desk and all my phones are busy, and being able to speak to our system and simply tell the system what you need to do, rather than press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this, and then you get 3 layers deep and you've forgotten which button you were trying to get to in the first place. Those are the things that we're really trying to address. I'm not trying to revolutionize the world. I'm trying to take the simplest things off my plate so that we can spend the time and energy on those other areas that do deserve the time and attention that we get to. Getting back to some of the pros and cons that we have on that side, another area that I really look into is accessibility and inclusivity. It's very much a key topic on our campus at this time, and conversational AI works very, very well in those areas. Those tools make education more accessible by providing a flexible and interactive learning experience. Students can access course material and interact with virtual assistants anytime, anywhere, from any device. And that is huge. I run the labs on our campus and all the public workspaces, and we have 1,500-ish lab and public facing computers. The ability for students to jump into our RDS environment and simply hop on the boxes that they need and interact with the systems is a really cool evolution that we've had on our campus from that side. It gets a little tricky when you start talking licensing with some of the products that are out there, capital A ... that I won't name the rest of the product on that one. But yeah, we deal with this same stuff that you guys do all the time. As far as inclusivity does, it caters to diverse learning styles. When you have to adapt to students' needs, you can offer alternative explanations. You can provide additional examples. You can present information in different formats. All of this fosters a sense of belonging and community. It increases that aspect. And coming out of COVID, when all of us were just striving to rebuild community, this does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. It can be interactive conversations, it can be answering questions, it can be providing guidance as though it were a mentor. And from a student's perspective, the feedback that we get, again, mostly from the Gen Zs who are very much of this digital era. They don't want to call us. They don't want to talk to me as a human being. They want to do anything that they can to not interact with a live agent on that side. But what we find is, especially when people talk to our chatbot, they're nice to our chatbot. They say please and thank you. They don't say please and thank you to me when they call. They yell at me all day. That's my job.
Well, that's
They
good
say
because
please
they're
and thank you.
that's good because they're worried about the rise of the machines and the Terminators taking over. So that's a good.
Absolutely.
I say thank you to the ATM every time it gives me money. So that's good.
Absolutely. When the rise of the machines come, I don't want them picking on me. But it's very interesting to also see some of the questions that people will pose to an OIT chatbot that presumably is, how do I change my password? How do I get my transcript? How do I do my FAFSA? They're asking questions that are appropriate for counselors, things that advisors would want to talk to, things that a psychologist might be, and to be able to see their ability and their trust to talk to this nameless, faceless, headless thing. They don't feel judged. They don't feel put out by it. It is very reassuring and comforting. So when built correctly, again, the ability for these tools to bridge divides is really very, very strong. It provides a personalized learning experience. We see engagement and motivation increase with use of these tools. When students can avail themselves to do the things that they want to do and need to do without having to reference another system, ask for an admission slip, do whatever, we see the uptick on that and we hear it reflected back. It's also very interesting in that because we're just starting this journey and just starting to flip some of these switches and make these changes, we're getting the questions of when will it be able to do this? Oh, will it be cool when it can do this? And the thoughts that are being generated and the ideas coming out of the student area are really very, very interesting. Now we just need to find the time and energy and budget to implement a lot of this stuff. But the potential for it to straight up revolutionize the environment is very much there. And I'm speaking less of I understand my professors in the College of Education who work for the English department, who spend a lot of their time testing knowledge based on written samples, and the fact that it's hard to adjudicate those. We don't have a clean tool right now that can categorically say, yes, this is, no, this is not an AI generated tool. There's also a lot of rules and a university administration that has to be looked at from a student conduct aspect. Words like, academic dishonesty and other things carry very strong ramifications. But what is cheating and what is not cheating? What is use of a tool to move you forward? To some of the conversations that I've had with some of my colleagues, especially in the College of Business, who are very much looking to move this product forward and start integrating it into their curriculums immediately, is these are net new creations. This isn't plagiarism. So how do we value the creative endeavor that went in while still judging it relative to what has come out? And that is going to be a big challenge for a lot of people. For me, on the front lines of support, it is making my life easier, and it is giving my technicians more time and more space to live at the level where they need to live and to just take the brainless, stupid stuff right off the get-go. Now, to that end, have I yet convinced InfoSec to allow me to have users be able to do fully secured password resets through a chatbot? No, I have not. We've run it out. They agree that it would be a fantastic thing, but that's still a little scary for them on that side. Other things we have absolutely put into our chatbot where you can solicit active information that is tied to their individual instance and is not simply KB articles being regurgitated back. So that's a lot of what we've got going on. The administrative processes, real-time feedback and assessment. I can continue to bang on with all the talking points that you can query on Google's to your heart's content, but that's a lot of what we've got going on over in our neck of the woods. We're very excited to move it forward. We're very excited to continue integrating these things and building them across platforms, because to that end, again, take something like omni-channel with our CCAS, where once upon a time when you called us up, it would be press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. Now it's predicated with a tell us why you're calling. And conversational AI is able to pull that information in, natural language process it, and bounce it against our information to drive back to where that call needs to be routed, whether it's to my desk, to the Workday desk, to the facilities desk, whomever. Convincing the rest of campus to get on board with us is becoming easier, but is still very much a challenge because silos are silos. We probably have 3 or 4 ticketing systems on campus, and having one umbrella that would have many of these included into it is the goal, but we've got to get there slowly. Conversational AI is helping us on that side. From the academic neck of the world, it's very much changing up how things are happening over in that side of that. There are also a lot of great tools for students themselves, things like Grammarly and the plugins that you can get that leverage a lot of this stuff and do it remarkably securely without, providing all of your information to the entire internet all the time. And that again is another very real concern with a lot of this. We have this conversation internally all the time, is how much of our data should be used, how much of our institutional data should be used to train these AI engines that are upstream of us. Microsoft makes it fairly simple with our regulated environment and with our 365 stack. ChatGPT has similar options that you can close things off. But to that end, we're either on board with this or we're going to get run over by it. And we can't prohibit its use. We can't block its use. We have to figure out how to adapt and move forward with this. And just like when the internet came out in the 90s, well, it didn't come out in the 90s. No one kill me about this. When it really blew up in the 90s, similar to VHS and beta and cassette tapes and CDs, the internet was going to ruin our world and ruin our existence. And oh my goodness, everything is going to change. I really think conversational AI is a very similar conversation. I think this is a major change that is going to see profound changes to the way that we live and work and do business. But I don't think it's scary, and I don't think it is the Terminator coming down quite yet. Deep machine learning is not true artificial intelligence. So with that, I think I will turn it back over on that side. Again, happy to see anything that comes up in the chat. If when Micheal is speaking, I might riff on a couple of his pieces as well.
Thank you, Ben. That was very eloquently stated. You touched on everything from technical to innovation to philosophy to strategy to operational efficiency. I mean, you touched on every aspect. This is not just a tech discussion. You really addressed, significant impacts of this technology. One, we now have it accessible. So we've always talked in IT about, oh yeah, we do innovation too. But now this is real. This is accessible. This is something we can use. Like you said, finding the time to do it is good. But what is key is having institutional technology leaders like yourself that understand what you just said. Because
and
that
again,
is the
purely
guide.
the pure accessibility of the matter. The fact that my support desk, prior to the advent of some of these tools, was not accessible. We had nothing to deal with the blind, the deaf, the otherwise disadvantaged populations that, with the tools that we have presented, the avenues have reopened and the inclusivity has really climbed on this one. And it's very cool to see.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that. And I did post another poll question for the audience. Does your institution use AI chatbots to enhance student learning and access to information? Yes, working on it, or no. Looks like we have 60% that are doing this, another 20 working on it, and another 20 not yet. So this is rolling, as Ben said, and as Micheal will speak about next. We'll see this being integrated into our systems, business processes, enhancing all aspects of the student experience. Let me introduce our next panelist, Micheal Lyons. Micheal is a longtime seasoned IT professional, and he has worked at the executive level with a deep understanding of technology and the interpersonal connection of IT and humans, as well as the business processes. So he's another interpreter of tech in his institution, and he has the benefit of having a vast amount of experience in multiple industries. And that does add value when you can see the use of technology from multiple perspectives. And Micheal is also a lifelong learner. I think we all are in IT, because there's always something new that happens that we have to learn about or react to. Micheal, thanks so much for joining us today. And if you could want to elaborate on yourself for Mass Bay Community College, please take it away.
Well, greetings from Championship City. Celtics 18-time world champions, so we're kind of enjoying our moment in the sun once again here. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm kind of sitting here, even being a panelist, being a participant, listening to everything that Ben had shared, and I'm taking my little quick notes discreetly on the side because it's really great content. I'm Micheal Lyons. I've been an IT professional since August 2nd, 1992. I've worked, 2/3 of my career in higher education, working for schools such as UMass Boston, Quincy College, Tufts University, Fairfield University, and Mass Bay Community College. I've been very blessed and fortunate to be the CIO for Mass Bay Community College, or associate with Mass Bay Community College for 13 plus years now. Really, I stand upon the shoulders of giants. I have an amazing team. Where a lot of our partner schools, and I think it's a great perspective. Again, Ben is representing a university that has maybe a lot more people, a lot more resources. We're a community college, so we have 20 people in IT. We have 6,000 students that we service on 3 campuses. We have an automotive program, a really new state-of-the-art facility in Framingham we opened up. We have outstanding features in cybersecurity. This past year, we were actually cited by the White House for being a leader in cybersecurity education in the US. So, as my guys will always say, and I guess a couple of my guys might be on here, so they're kind of making sure I'm representing us correctly. No dust on us. We get a lot done with what we have. And, for me, it kind of represents doing more with less. And there's a lot of features that we can get into. Before we get to the next slide, to kind of tag into something that Ben had shared, and Ben, great presentation. It's a very hard act to follow, so I'm going to do the best I can right now. So one of the initiatives that we're looking at is because we have a large Hispanic or Spanish-speaking population. Been really happy to have a lot of, undocumented citizens basically join our area in the recent months. So we're looking at ways that we service this community. And one of the challenges that Mass Bay is facing, or one of the things we're looking forward to taking on, is becoming an HSI, Hispanic Serving Institution. And AI keys into that. So one of the first things I did is when the discussion started is I did a PowerPoint presentation for our leadership team and said, here's how IT is ready to help service this area. And Black Belt Help with our chat bots and our basically our voice bots were one of those features that we said, yes, we can have people call in, as Ben said, with the accessibilities. They can call in, and rather having the staff, operators who are multilingual, we have that ability that we're basically chatting with them in their native language. We're basically talking with them in their native language, and we're able to support that group. Carl, if you can go to the next slide, we'll kind of get in the meat because I don't like talking too much about myself. That guy on that first page, I read it. I'm like, oh my Lord, I sound like an egomaniac. So what are we really talking about? So AI in one form or another has been around for a long time. This goes back a lot further, but where it really started to become part of the public consciousness was with ChatGPT. Now, when ChatGPT came out, I could honestly probably count on, 2 hands, colleagues who knew about it. We're dealing with June 2018. And one of the advantages for me is I have also, having been an IT professional, I've also been an IT instructor. So I started teaching classes here back with Mass Bay right when we came out of COVID. And I really felt that was a great experience. I love being in the classroom. I love having the experience with my faculty. I love actually using my services and making sure that I'm providing the best services for my, my academic leaders. But I can tell you, like in, 2019, nobody had really heard about it. But I'm in a classroom in January 2020. I'm in front of an entire class of students, and I asked the entire class, hey, do you know what ChatGPT is? Or do you know what this, generative AI technology is? It was the first class or second class of the semester. None of them knew what it was. Now, this is where you had a lot of the, late night, pundits basically saying my opening monologue was generated by ChatGPT, or you even had newscasters doing that, just to kind of relate it. By the end of that semester, when I got to, and again, this is a 15-week class, every student had heard of it if I hadn't used it. And that's how fast it came on. The only thing I think in my lifetime, and again, I've been in IT now for 32 years, that I have seen come on with this magnitude is the internet. The only comparable thing. And the interesting thing that we're running into right now is with Google, with Wolfram Alpha a little bit, is the same questions. Are people using it? Are they cheating? Are we damaging people because they're forgetting how to research? They're forgetting how to do the work. And that's a legitimate question. And that's a legitimate challenge that we need to face. So again, right now we're sitting with ChatGPT 4.0, which is the latest engine, and we're hearing about the capabilities of 5, which will be coming out in the next few months. And it's going to exponentially grow and grow and grow because more law states, everything's going to redouble. A great website, if you want to check out, is There's an AI for that. And it went from where you see the timeline on AIs where so many services were available, and then exponentially it keeps growing and growing and growing. And a lot of them base their services off of ChatGPT. For example, Ben had mentioned Grammarly. Well, Grammarly's generative AI solution is called Grammarly Go, and it uses ChatGPT for its processing. So again, because you have that infrastructure in place, this shows exponential growth. Microsoft saw this and made a major investment to basically invest in the technology, not own OpenAI, but basically license their technology. And that's why we're seeing Copilot everything, Copilot for GitHub, Copilot for security. And it's going to keep exponentially growing further. And one last thing before we move forward, Ben brought up a really great point. If you don't have a solution in place for your faculty and staff and students, they're going to find one on their own. The whole thing of shadow IT happens is when IT fails to provide the services for our patrons. So the idea is, it's not a question of, hey, do we want to do AI? Hey, how do we want to control people using AI so we don't have concerns with leakage? We have reportage and a couple other things. So we'll get to that in a minute. Carl, if you can go to the next slide. So growth, this is where the money's going. Everything now that you see advertised says it has an AI feature. You know, it's given. Every single new security product that's coming out, we're going to be using AI to help generate countermeasures to kind of look at instances of compromise, detect things that are going on your system. Everything that's basically doing everything from generative AI to every help desk product, they're going to have it in place. And the report we have here from Grandview kind of shows how that's going to go, where the puck is going over the next few years. The markets should know this is the area of investment and growth. Where the money goes, you're going to see a lot more expansion into that. And it's going to help out a lot of cases. One of the things Ben had mentioned again was, how does it help us out? Well, for a smaller shop, I need to kind of control cost. A lot of us are running schools and we have students who are we want to be a student-ready organization that services the students at any single time. When I got to Mass Bay 13 years ago, I partnered with Black Belt Help to take over our help desk services because housing an in-house help desk 24/7 really wasn't capable. And we didn't want to wait till 8 o'clock on Monday morning to get back to the student who's panicking about submitting their paper on Blackboard when they called in on Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning. So having a partner like BBH who can basically, with people, be that elastic service that can expand and contract to the need of our organization. And that was critical. Now, working with them and kind of going forward, having capabilities like that basically on the help desk with the call services, or even with our operators. We used to have regular operators. We did upgrades to our phone system to allow people to basically say, I would like to talk to the president's office, and it'll automatically route them. Well, now when they press 0, they talk to a conversational AI and says, hi, who are you looking for? So it gives them that interaction, because a lot of people, feel that the call tray is a little bit impersonal. They get and one of the benefits we also have is at the end of it, if they do really want to talk to a live person, BBH is great at kind of converting that over. So tip of the hat to BBH. So if we go to the next slide. So what are we talking about, AI in education? Well, we're talking about applications, as we talked about. We're talking about how we're doing assessments. So getting that feedback, customizing what the education looks for people. We're talking about personalizing it. Being a community college, we have a wide range of areas that we service. We have students who are basically taking, preparatory math classes, preparatory writing classes. So our goal is to basically get them up to the point that they leave us with an associate's degree. And if they want to pursue, a bachelor's degree, go on to a master's degree, go on to a doctorate degree. We've had people graduate with doctorates from Harvard and basically came back and served as board of trustees members. If we can go back, thank you. And that's important. And that allows you to have that customization, and that allows you to kind of augment your advisors, augment your academics, and build into that. Benefits, enhanced learning outcomes. Again, are we leveraging in the same way that we did search engines and making people more capable? When I teach my classes, I tell people about Tanner Faust. Tanner Faust is an American stunt car driver. He was on America's Top Gear. I make a joke of that. If I put Tanner Faust into a race car, he can do a loop-to-loop. You can go on YouTube and see it. He actually did a Hot Wheels track and did a real loop-to-loop. You put me into a race car, I'm going to plow into that wall and kill myself in about 5 minutes, if I last 5 minutes. So the idea is giving them the capabilities. If you're capable, it makes you go faster. If you're not capable, it helps you enhance that. Say if you're taking a scripting class and you're learning how to do VB scripting, your instructor might give you instruction, kind of walk you through stuff. Well, now you have a personalized tutor. Hey, I'm writing this code. Can you please troubleshoot it for me? Say you're writing a grant. Okay, give me a starter. Here's my pieces. Can you make this sound more professional? I know that sometimes if I get into a writing mode, I become very, systematic or very stale in my language, where I seem to use the same terminology over and over again. There's an opportunity to kind of enhance it and make it more readable. What's the challenges? Plagiarism, cheating. At Mass Bay, use of AI without the instructor's permission is considered a violation of our students' code of conduct. But the reality is they're going to use AI in their professional careers. I teach CS 100, where I'm basically teaching them the skills to use technology to be able to do their term papers, to be able to work. One of the things I hear tragically in my other class I teach in scripting is, well, we're not going to need programmers anymore. I'm like, you're going to need programmers still. And I use an example where I go up in the ChatGPT. I said, write me a script for mapping printers. And I show it to them. It's like, is that correct? And they go,
then run it blindly.
Exactly. But more importantly, I'm looking for a PowerShell script, and that's Python up on my screen. So understanding the content, understanding when it comes through, understanding this. So it means there is a changing for teaching. For me, from the data security standpoint, because again, CIO, I also wear the CISO hat, I'm worried about data leakage. You go to work on this program, you take a whole ton of FERPA data, throw it, and this is for my faculty and my staff. They're working on a grant and they throw a ton of FERPA data up in the ChatGPT. Then where does that data live? Because that's all I'm asked when we do audits. Where's your data live? Where are the crown jewels? How are you protecting stuff? I see Ben wants to jump in.
PCI.
And that's what it comes down to. Being a university or college, we have all of the requirements. We have FERPA, and actually for us, HIPAA data, which is healthcare information, falls under FERPA. If we're taking credit card payments, we have to be PCI compliant, which is the payment card industry. Again, if we're basically doing any other data, if you have students who are international, you're dealing with GDPR. Here in Massachusetts, we have basically a local law called MA-17. If we're basically dealing with financial data outside of student information, we're dealing with GLBA. It's alphabet soup. We have a serving of it every single month at this point. So going forward, and also, I actually almost forgot it. It's also important, this is really important, and we saw this illustrated by Google's implementation of AI with Gemini. Are we allowing implicit bias and discrimination to kind of eep into these learning models? Now, one of the things is we don't have to necessarily run. We got a question. Please share questions here. Okay, I saw a little thing come up in chat. So I was hoping I inspired somebody to ask questions, folks. Honestly, it's so much more fun. I picked this up from my dad. I could talk to a telephone pole all day, but I'm much better when I talk back and forth with people. So long and the short of it is you can run your own local AI. Olama is an open model. And one of the things that you're going to see with a lot of these large organizations is they want to offload some of the processing to your local institutions to kind of cover down cost. And that opens up another couple opportunities around security and other things, and hopefully getting some of that biases. I think basically the controversy with Google is they said, basically generate some pictures of basically World War II German soldiers. And it really didn't result in some good results in there. So you can Google search that on your own. If we want to go to the next page. So how do we start getting people ready for it? So you can look at different courses, different materials. This is a good book that I'd recommend for people. Basically teaching with AI. You can get it on Audible. So if you're like me who likes to use that dashboard time coming in and out of school. And this is one of those ones, if you have, faculty who really like the idea of a book or like the material, this is one will help you out, kind of get them oriented to the topic. Because again, this came on like gangbusters in the last 2 years. one of the things I noticed automatically is when ChatGPT came up, I went on YouTube and it showed students, here's how you cheat on ChatGPT. You take it from ChatGPT, you put it into Grammarly, you change out the language, and it will buzz straight through any basically AI detection tool that's out there right now. Cactus AI is a AI developed in particular to work on academic offerings and materials. Again, you can find these there's an AI for that. But if you want to start the conversation with your faculty, this is a good book to start. You can start as something as simply as a brown bag lunch. Everybody kind of reads the book. After you read it, of course, because you want to be the leader of the conversation, you can bring in different people to talk about it. There's a lot of different courses in place. I always like to give people an option for this. You can go to the next page. So since Microsoft's made a major investment inside of AI, again, they have their great website, learn.microsoft.com. And this is, I tell my students, I tell my staff this all the time. We live in an absolutely amazing time in our lives. I pay for my YouTube subscription because I hate advertisements and it's probably saved me days of my life having that. And mostly for my son. My son is a very successful YouTuber, but I won't get into that. But with a computer connection, you can learn almost anything nowadays. YouTube has tons of tutorials. Microsoft offers a ton of materials for everybody. And this is a great course, AI for educators. So right now I'm working with a lot of my faculty members, and I'm really fortunate. I have fantastic faculty members that I work with. And I don't just say that because they might be watching this, but I say it because the ones who came to me to ask, hey, how do we start using AI in teaching, would be the ones you counterintuitive you think would be against it. It was my senior faculty members in English. The ones who would be most concerned that I assign an assignment, write me a report on War and Peace. They say, hey, we know it's there, and they started using it. One of the fiercest advocates we have here is Professor Matt Walsh. And we actually did a presentation at Professional Day, and he loves ChatGPT. He showed, I'm basically eating, and I'm telling stories out, but he'd be fine with it. I want to eat an organic vegetarian diet, and he gave different demonstrations of it. And he just showed all the positive things. He says, this is a great opportunity. This is going to help our students so much. So again, it's coming out from that standpoint. How do we kind of deal with those items, walking ourselves forward? And again, there's a lot of materials out there that are available to help you bridge the gap. I think that's all my slides right now, Carl. But if there's any questions, honestly, feel free to jump in and ask.
That was great, Michael. Thank you. And you referenced some of the things that Ben presented, but then you really added a whole different perspective to that in terms of, especially the academic side, where there is significant application, empowering faculty, empowering students, and changing that whole teaching learning dynamic. And both of you touched on the ethics of using AI and these technologies. I like Ben was saying, oh, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. They say that every time something new comes out. I hear that. And then once everybody gets used to it, they can't live without it. So I think this is a great enhancement. I wanted to just present the last poll and then, kind of do a few closing comments and allow you to have any closing comments. But does your institution use AI chatbots to improve student retention? Yes, working on it, or no? If you could just take 30 seconds to answer that, we'll share the results in just a moment. So I also wanted to give an opportunity with our last few remaining moments. We do have the BBH Chief Product Officer, Christopher Youth. Would you like to comment on what Ben and Michael were talking about?
I would love to take just a second and say thank you to both of them. Fantastic insights, and I think really dead on, on where the industry is headed. One of the things from my vantage point is just to always encourage people to keep their eyes open and to keep reading about and stay involved with AI generative AI movements. It is at this very interesting tipping point where the large industries are realizing what it's really great at, and there are determinations being made as to what gets invested in as far as the things that it's not great at yet. We're still at that moment, right? Where in the case of the internet, it was that moment of, okay, it can do so many things. What makes the most sense to have it be really, really good at, right? And there's an investment movement where the money goes sort of, it gets better faster, right? And so when you watch that with generative AI, that's the inflection point we're at. And so where's it going to go? Where's it going to land? And what can it be good at? And what is it going to be the best at? I am a huge advocate for looking internally and talking about and setting precedents ahead of time as far as data security, things like that, where you want your data to live, know about how it works, know what tokenization is, some of these key words, and understand that generative AI. I think Ben said, hey, it's not real AI yet, and that's accurate, right? All it is a token generation and prediction algorithm, right? Based on all of the tokens that I've crunched, and tokens, by the way, are like, I like to think of it as like 3/4 of a word. Based on all of the tokens that I've crunched, this is the next most likely one to come up, right? And that's how it's generating this stuff and why it sounds so natural. And the more we can shove at it, the more it can crunch and come back with. And so that's why the large language models was such a key turning point for this industry. When we get big data sets, we have the ability to respond fluently to a lot of things. What that does not come into effect is, when we start to get into specific, let's say, institutional specific things, right? And that's where, you see interesting strategies developing around like retrieval augmented generation. If you don't know what that is, you should Google it, things like that, right? And that's where companies are starting to go and take things. And it's just such an exciting field right now. It's offering a ton of solutions to problems that previously required, large amounts of human intervention and time. And now, as I think both Ben and Micheal said, students have a preference to not pick up the phone and call somebody. It's not like when I was in college and you went through the quad and you hit every table for every office, I just want to pull my phone out and, send a message to the chatbot that knows how to find the information I need. And I think we've seen chatbots really take over the compartmentalization and sort of ease of use of search engines, right? Like we saw the search engines sort of give a new way to find, categorize and find information. And now chatbots are doing it again in a very great way where it's saying, hey, we can actually just give you the answer, not just point you at where the answer might exist, right? And so now there's the next step in evolution of chatbot is what else can we do? What other services can we offer? How else can we, what other information can we make accessible to you, right? And that's really the crux of AI, is making information accessible. When we say generative AI, it just means putting the pieces together in the same way that they've been put together in the past, right? It's not actually generating new thoughts and new concepts. So it's
Right.
all about input and output. So it's exciting, and I'm glad to see such a wonderful group of people discussing it.
But really good from all participants here and panelists on thought leadership around this area. We do have one 15-second answer question from an audience member or from an attendee, and they've asked, they appreciate the maturity of where you have AI and chatbots, but how does an institution start when they have nothing? What's the first step? 5-second answer, please.
I would go to the AI class that I posted. Start with the Microsoft Learn class on AI.
Excellent. Micheal?
Oh, you mean Ben? Ben?
I'm sorry, Ben. I am so sorry. So sorry.
I would
I'm
reflect
reading.
the same type of thing. I would avail yourself of the free materials that are out there. There's a lot of free stuff from a variety of different links that doesn't have a high cost to entry.
Great. Christopher, any? Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me throw one more in. And if you want to play with one for free, Olama. So just Google Olama, and you can play with it in your house at no cost.
Great. Christopher, any 2-second comment as we close.
Yeah, figure out the pain points that you might want to solve with it, right?
Yeah,
Don't
that's
chase
great.
shiny objects to have shiny objects next to you.
Exactly.
So that's what I would suggest.
Great advice from all of you. Thank you. Audience attendees, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy days to attend this webinar. We will send information out from this webinar. We will send the links out, the references. There will be an EdTech report that we will produce with more in-depth information from our panelists and contributors. So you will be able to download that in the near future. Thanks everyone for attending today, and we will see you next time. And also thanks to the Campus Consortium event management team, Nicole, Jennifer, and all the rest of the team.